Sefer Devarim is famously known as Mishneh Torah, loosely translated as a review of the Torah. And the reason why it's called this is because many of the stories that we already learned about in Shmot, Vayikra, and Bamidbar, as well as many of the mitzvot that we're told and commanded to keep in the previous Sfarim, are repeated in Sefer Devarim. But what's important to notice is when you see repetitions is not the similarities, but rather the differences between the way that the stories are told and the way that the mitzvot are being commanded in Devarim as opposed to the way that they were commanded in the previous Parshiot, in the previous Sfarim. Now, I'm going to focus on two of those mitzvot in this week's Parsha. In this week's Parsha, many of the mitzvot we've already seen before. The holidays are mentioned in this week's Parsha, as well as Shemitah, as well as Trumot and Ma'asrot, the presents that we're supposed to give to the Kohanim, tithes. And if you take a closer look at them, they're very, very different than the way that they're mentioned in Sefer Vayikra. The holidays in Sefer Vayikra focus as the holidays as being a time for us to connect to Hashem. Mikrei Kodesh, Mo'adei Hashem, the holidays, the times where we can meet with God and build a connection with Him. As well as Shemitah, the 7th year, the sabbatical year, is called Shabbat LaHashem. It's a year of focusing on Hashem. It's a year we elevate the land to a point where everything is equal because we are in union with God. That is the way the Shemitah, the 7th year, as well as the holidays are portrayed in the book of Vayikra. In the book of Devarim, though, that's not the focus. In the book of Devarim, the focus of the 7th year is not Shabbat LaHashem. God is still there, however, the focus becomes how we treat others, how we treat the less fortunate, the poor, the widows, the orphans, the Levi, who was a tribe who did not have what they needed because they were there to serve God. And that is the focus of the 7th year. As well as the holidays. The holidays bring up a whole other perspective that we saw that we had not seen before. The holidays in Sefer Vayikra, again, were about reaching Hashem, while here they're about being able to care for those among us, those who are less fortunate. There's even a special halakha that we learn from this week's Parsha, which is that even though we have to be happy on the holidays, there's a big mitzvah to be happy on the holidays, samachta b'chagecha, that happiness is not true happiness unless we share it with others, unless we share it with those who don't have what we have. So much so that the Rambam says that if you're sitting at home eating the greatest meal with the family and friends and you're enjoying yourself immensely, but there's somebody outside your door who doesn't have that same enjoyment, you did not fulfill the mitzvah of happiness. You are not considered happy unless everybody around you is able to partake in that same happiness. That's a perspective where our connection with Hashem, our religious life, has to be coupled with an understanding and appreciation for those around us, an appreciation for those who have less than us, and an awareness that we have to change that. And that is what Sefer Devarim focuses on when it speaks about the holidays and the sabbatical year and the Shemitah year. And the reason for that, I believe, is that Vayikra is a book of ideals. It's a beautiful book of spiritual, grand ideals, of connecting with Hashem, of creating a world where Hashem rests in this world. Sefer Bamidbar is about taking that world and even in a certain sense failing from it, as we made many, many mistakes in the Midbar. Now the new generation has to figure out how to climb back up. How can we reach that grand ideal? How can we talk about big ideas like connecting to Hashem and being close to God? The answer is, first and foremost, we have to think about those around us. The vehicle in which we use in order to become holy people is not only by talking about holiness as an abstract idea, it's about acting holy to those who are among us, acting holy to creating a society where if I'm happy, it's only when others are happy. When I'm doing well, it's only when those around me are doing well. And if I want to connect to Hashem, if I want to be a people of God, if I want to be part of a people with God, it first and foremost has to come from turning myself into somebody who cares about those who are around me. Shabbat Shalom.